see if Jeremy has anything more that is interesting to say.
But what I've realized in the last 30 years is we all got it wrong. We continue to underestimate the speed of climate change because we continued in our hubris not to understand the subtle feedback loops that trigger the next stage. It's moving so much faster than we thought. For example, when you look at the fourth UN climate change report in 2007, 2,500 scientists, 125 countries, it's light years different in its projections than the third report in 2001. Because in 2001, we thought the glaciers were going to melt on our great mountain ranges maybe in the 22nd century. The fourth report in 2007 says they're melting in real time across every mountain range. And in the next 30, 40, 50 years, we'll lose over 60% of the glaciers. This is not about skiing. 1 out of every 6 human beings relies on those glaciers for their water, irrigation, sanitation. How do we repopulate a sixth of the world's population in 40 years? The third report in 2001, you'll recall, said, look to the Gulf of Mexico, we'll see more intense hurricane activity from the heating up of the waters in the planet by the 22nd century. The fourth report, Katrina, Rita, Gustav, and Ike, we are in real-time climate change. We've doubled the intensity of hurricanes, category 3s, 4s, and 5s. And actually, it's not academic. If you live on the Gulf Coast, from Florida to Texas, during hurricane season, every home has the weather dial, TV dial on. Is another hurricane coming? Is this it? Do we evacuate? They can't even get insurance anywhere on the coast for their homes. The third report, the Arctic, said the Arctic may begin to see open waters sometime in the mid-22nd century. The fourth report and the new report this week, open waters clear in the summer 20 years from now, after millions of years. So this is moving much quicker because of all the feedback loops. The projections now is a 3 degrees Celsius rise in temperature, but that's looking optimistic. But every parent should understand what 3 degrees means in this century. If we go up 3 degrees in this century, that takes us back to the temperature on Earth 3 million years ago. Human beings have only been here 175,000 years. We're the youngest species. If we go 2 to 3 degrees, and that's looking super optimistic, we'd have to radically change civilization. At 2 to 3 degrees, the UN Climate Panel reports, models show that we lose on the bottom end maybe 20–25% of all the plant and animal life on Earth. On the top end, wipeout, 70% of all the assessed species gone. The ice is melting across Siberia. Carbon is coming up as CO2, and on the lake beds it's coming up methane, which is 23 times more potent. And there's more carbon underneath there than all the tropical rainforests. It's all going up into the atmosphere. It is a ticking time bomb. And the journal Nature this year said it's accelerating 6 times faster than we thought 12 months ago. That's just one feedback loop.
Jeremy was pointing out that if we have a 2 to 3 degree rise in temperature, we would be going back to 3 million years ago. Now, I have seen on the internet, I have heard time and again, and I have seen written by many people, and I hear people speaking about this all the time. They are speaking about saving the planet. And even publications by literate scientific people refer to the danger we are facing as that of the destruction of the planet. We are being told to save the planet. But 3 million years ago, the planet was doing fine. 3 million years ago, with a 3 degree rise in temperature, the planet was hale and hearty. But 3 million years ago, with a rise of 3 degrees centigrade in our temperature, there was no human species around. So the first correction we have got to make in our thinking is to realize that this is not a threat that the planet faces. This is a threat that the human species faces. The planet is fine. The planet is fine. There is no point in your worrying about the planet. The planet will survive. It is the human species that is threatened. It is you and I who will be, as I said a little while ago, fried in our own fat if we do not do something about the direction we are heading in. If we do not take charge of the helm of the steering wheel and turn it around. To Jeffrey Sachs, speaking at the State of the Planet Conference 2012, and he's going to tell you something about the outcome of some of the ways that we behave, starting with the way we tend to reproduce. And this is one of the most ugly aspects of the human species, the way we have been breeding in a way that has no meaning. We have increased the numbers of human species to a point where it absolutely doesn't make any sense. We don't need so many people. If we do need so many people, I do not know why. And I'm sure you don't either. And this is the problem that we are going to have to address, probably in a very, very short and sharp and ugly way. Let's listen to Jeffrey first.
In the year 2000, there were 6 billion people on the planet. Last October, according to the UN's population clock, we reached 7 billion people on the planet. By 2024, the current expectation is that we will reach 8 billion people on the planet. By 2044, another 20 years after that, the 9th billion person on the planet. And according to what is called the medium fertility forecast of the UN Population Division, by 2084, more than 10 billion.
If the whole world, especially the poor countries today, achieved what the high-income countries have in terms of output and used the same technologies, the planet couldn't manage it. Right now we have about 1 billion vehicles on the road. If the poor and middle-income countries were to go to an automobile kind of economy the same way as the high-income world, we'd have 4, 5, 6 billion, depending on exactly whose count you use. Couldn't manage it. But the costs of photovoltaics, for example, is plummeting in recent years. The potential to tap solar power and thereby have a lot more electricity for people in poor, dryland, near-desert conditions without emitting carbon dioxide is phenomenal. That's an example of what decoupling can mean. Better modes of transport, better design of cities. It is possible, in my opinion, because of the technological revolution, the digital revolution, new ways of producing energy, better materials, nanotechnology, more sophisticated ways to help people live quality lives. And we have to move very quickly because we are absolutely running out of space and running out of time to get this done right. And if we just continue in business as usual, we're going to wreck the planet before we have development for all.
He is essentially a man of hope, as you probably have noticed from what he said. And I would like to see a situation where his hopes are realized. But whether his hopes are realized or not depends on each and every one of you. Because as I pointed out before, all we have at the moment to respond at the level of the planet, at the level of the species, is the United Nations organization. And the United Nations organization, while there is no doubt that it is doing its very best, is limited by the very nature of its structural form, as I will explain to you later on another occasion. And so, you cannot wait for the United Nations or the United States or India or China or Russia or Indonesia or God Almighty to take charge of this problem and solve it for you. It is simply not going to happen that way. You have got to link together with as many people as you are able to reach out to who understand this problem to some extent and work together with them on this task of changing the direction in which our civilization and our species is heading right now. There may come a time when some of us will not be able to say that anymore. We may not anymore be able to speak about our civilization and our species, because there may come a time, and I'm afraid that that time is very close by, where many of us will not be able to identify with this civilization, and where many of us will not be able to identify with this species, because we will not be able to agree with what this species is doing, and we will not be able to agree with the objectives of this civilization, which, as far as I can see right now, is nothing more than live to eat. And if such a time were to come, it will be the beginning of a period of turmoil, a period of contest, a period of competition, where two different types of creatures who see the world in two different types of ways use their intelligence and use their strategic competence and use their perceptual capacities to respond to this grave situation that has been brought about by the misguided actions of the human species. And there is no telling as to what the outcome of that contest will be.